One group of people on the internet that I absolutely cannot stand are they could never make me hate you group. My God, y'all will not see heaven. Y'all will not see heaven. Because what do you mean that a young girl was on her way to school when someone pulls up behind her, right? Either she was already at the bus stop or awaiting the on her way to the bus stop. Someone pulls up behind her with an object that she doesn't know what it is. So automatically she thinks it's a gun, right? Somebody has a gun behind me. And mind you, this is a young child on her way to school. And then the person forces her into a home that she's never been to and rapes her. The only way that she was able to get away from the person is by throwing contact solution in the person's eye, right? And so after she was able to escape with her life, because I'm pretty sure after that, she wasn't sure whether or not this man was going to have to kill me to get rid of the evidence, you know what I mean, dispose of my body, just to conceal their crime. This girl runs all the way to school, where the staff members at the school were the ones to call the police to go arrest the person who committed the crime. Once they arrested the person that committed the crime against her, they asked the person, of course, their version of the story. The person lied, saying that they were dating, yada, yada, yada. They asked the person, had she ever been to your house? He lied and said yes. And she had never been to his house at that point. And once they asked him, has she ever been to your room particularly? He said no. And she was able to describe key items in the room which showed that he was lying. And the only reason why she was able to get out is by throwing contact solution in his eyes to get away, which they found in his room, just as described by this young girl. And of course, I'm talking about Jennifer Hough, who was raped by Kenneth Petty, Nicki Minaj's husband. Now, and one of the things that really annoys me about that saying is it's not just that they could never make me hate you, just, for giggle and shit's sake. It's to say, I will never hold this person who I like for whatever reason. Maybe I like their artistry, I like their music, I find them charismatic or funny or whatever. So I will never hold them accountable, no matter how harmful their behavior is to themselves and others, no matter how much chaos and confusion this person causes, how much havoc this person wreaks in other people's lives. It's basically saying I refuse to hold them accountable, and no matter what they do, we will always mobilize against anybody who tries to speak any sense to the situation. Because what do you mean that a young girl again was raped, and Nicki Minaj is over here doing all kinds of crazy, harmful things to other people, and your first thing is to say, and I'm just using her as an example, there are plenty of other celebrity stans who refuse to hold their faves accountable for their behaviors. And of course, there's level to the harmful behaviors, right? I'm not going to sit on my soapbox and say that I don't listen to certain people's music who are problematic. But in terms of someone who knew that their husband was a rapist and a murderer before they married them, I can mute them on my Spotify. I can mute them on other, music apps that I listen to, because I can't deny that the music, is interesting. We're not gonna get into that. And sometimes a song might come on, you're so used to it, you just start singing it without thinking about it and knowing that. I make it a point to mute it so I don't hear it in the first place, right? But anyway, music is not the point that we're here. The point that we're here is, I really hate that saying, because a lot of people on social media who are always pretending to be the pillars of morality, claim that they want change, they want better, they want a better society, a better culture. Yet we are, and I say we because I'm sure a lot of us in some way contribute to the state of the culture, as it were, and the state of the society by negating certain things that we should pay more attention to. However, a lot of these people are the same people who want to scream for justice for other things, but only when it's pertaining to certain people. But when it comes to their fave, they just completely ignore the behavior. They will attack any critic or any journalist or anybody who dares to say something that they don't agree with when it comes to their faves. And they completely invalidate the real harm that is caused to other people by their faves. Just like Jennifer Huff, I have listened to Jennifer's story multiple times. She's told her story so many times and it never wavers. And let me just make this point. Jennifer has given Nicki Minaj a lot more grace than she deserves, a lot more grace than Nicki Minaj has given her. She's always said that, you know, they were children when that happened. Nicki Minaj wasn't directly involved. Nicki Minaj, you know, she still listens to her music. She's still a good artist, whatever. We're not here to talk about the music, right? So she's given this woman, and mind you, she had to move so many times, not just her by herself, with her children, because she was in fear of her life, right? Because people would harass her, and because a certain amount of money was put on, quote unquote, her head, which means that there was a certain amount of money to in her life, right? And when she was told to recant her story or to make public statements that contradicted what she originally said, she refused, and her life was threatened, and she had children whose lives were ultimately threatened also, right? And so for me, I always find it so problematic for people who go online and no matter what someone does, and again, this is not just about Nicki Minaj. We're also going to talk about Mary Cosby from the Salt Lake City Real Housewives show, just a little bit. Yeah, so for me, when people say that, it's just saying, especially with Nicki Minaj's fans, Nicki Minaj has a lot of immature fans, whether or not they're older people or they're younger people, which she always targets younger audiences. I always say that she will never run out of fans because her music never grows, never evolves. It's always childish to a point to where it appeals to younger audiences. So she's always finding new fans, right? And then there's the fans that grew up with her that refuse to grow up, refuse to mature, refuse to see her harmful behavior for what it is. Now, in no way am I blaming Nicki Minaj for her husband's behavior. That would be absurd. But I can't blame her. I cannot hold her accountable for the behaviors of those around her, like her husband and her brother, who was actually convicted of raping a teenager, right? But we can hold her accountable for, of course, she didn't choose her brother, but she did choose her husband knowing what he did, right? So it's not like she married him not knowing who he was and what he had done in the past. She knew exactly who he was. She knew exactly what he'd done. And I think she chose him because of that, because she was looking for, you know, she was looking for somebody to basically stick on somebody if somebody tried to do something for her, somebody who wasn't afraid to hurt other people, obviously, because she felt like she was being antagonized. She felt like she was, you know, I remember, what's his name, FD Signifier. He put a really great video out about Nicki Minaj. It's in light of her whole recent MAGA association publicly, he named the video, I made this Nicki Minaj video 3 years ago, which kind of, it's a great in-depth video. Even though the video was 3 years ago, it still rings so true to this day, that Nicki Minaj, it goes into the history of Nicki Minaj, what she means to the culture, and it highlights a lot of points that people don't give Nicki Minaj credit for, and it goes into showing her great artistry, how she was able to change the landscape of what it means to be a female rap artist, not just being under the men, but being independent and changing a whole culture, right? That's why a lot of her fans are so loyal to her, because of what she did. And when she first started, she did get a lot of unfair backlash, and so the fans had to stick up for her, so they're very protective of her. But it goes into a lot more details of different things. It shows you know, her career from its inception to about 3 years ago, which is when the video was made, but it's still so relevant today. So feel free to check that video out. I feel like it's very enlightening in the sense of getting to know Nicki Minaj and truly appreciate what she's done for the culture, and just seeing how she basically was able to change, again, the landscape of the career that she's in. However, she did become problematic, which a lot of people refuse to acknowledge. Now, a lot of people have called her out for her problematic behaviors before, but most of her stands will not. But like I was saying, she's not responsible for anybody around her behavior, but she is responsible for condoning it, right? She's not responsible for what her brother did, but she is responsible for writing a character letter to the judge in defense of her brother, who was convicted of raping his stepdaughter, right? She's not responsible for what Tekashi 69 did, raping, sexual assault against a minor, but she is responsible for partnering with him and so on and so forth. There's a lot of problematic men around Nicki Minaj that she purposefully want to make the affiliation with. So she's trying to normalize these type of behaviors and trying to basically just communicate to her young and immature fans that this is normal behavior. It doesn't matter what a man's behavior is. It doesn't matter what crime they commit. It doesn't matter what they've done or how problematic it is. As long as you love them enough, you can use, as she's doing, your power to shield them from responsibility. And that's what she does, right? You can, as long as you can love a man through their terrible, problematic behaviors that shape society. So, victims are silenced because they don't want to get attacked. A lot of people have been doxxed by her fans. A lot of people, like I said, whose real lives have been impacted anytime they said anything negative about her. And again, this is not just about Nicki Minaj, but it's just an example. And because she's been on the news a lot recently, so I thought that this would be I would just use her as an example, just as in her current MAGA. Now, when it comes to this new affiliation with MAGA, I am not shocked at all in the least, and I'm sure there are a lot of her fans who are not shocked, because some of her music has always kind of lent itself to the conservative thinking process, which is not necessarily always a bad thing, right? And the reason why I'm not shocked about Nicki Minaj being MAGA or whatever else is because okay, I want to say this with love, right? Nicki Minaj is a Caribbean woman, right? An immigrant, and she came to America. She found success, particularly in a Black American dominated field. So she should be pro-Black American. She should be pro-Black. So she should be against a current administration that seems to hate immigrants, hates Black people, hates the existence of non-white people, right? And as a Black woman, she should be that, right? However, I'm not shocked by that at all because of a lot of reasons. One thing Nicki Minaj always does is when she's on her rants, she always uses the Bible or some kind of God is, you're messing with God's anointed child type of rhetoric to make her points or get the people back on her side. And it's more than just that religious aspects that she uses to push forward her weird thinking. It's also the fact that Nicki Minaj is a Black Caribbean woman, immigrant, and being from the Caribbean, I can tell you that there are a lot of Black people are inherently conservative, no matter where we're from. America, the Caribbean, Africa, Asia. Black people are inherently a conservative group. So naturally, we have a lot of conservative viewpoints, right? Particularly Black people on this side of the world tend to always be Christians, and Christianity has a lot of conservative viewpoints, which we adopt. However, what is missing from a Black Caribbean immigrant woman coming to America, or any Black person coming to America, is that what a lot of people don't realize is no matter how you feel as a Black person, is that the conservatism in America and American politics always teeters the line of racism. It's always, oh, we love people, everybody should have the right to exist, except those people that look like that and sound like that and are from that place. You know what I mean? So it always teeters the line of racism that because we don't grow up around the immediate anti-Blackness all the time, where we're always fighting against a group that hates us. When you're from a Black country, it's a very different experience. I was not called the N-word until I moved to America, and I didn't even know what that meant at the time, because it was like I didn't even know what that meant. So I didn't have any experiences growing up, having in the back of my mind that this is what this group of people think of me. This is how this group of people treat me just because of my blackness. My blackness was not always a focal point of my existence until I moved to America. So for black people who are not from areas that are dominated by white people, existing in blackness is a natural thing, but kind of like doesn't exist at the same time, because you just exist as a person. So black people coming from other countries thinking they're going to come to America and still, have those viewpoints, it's just, this is how I feel, this is what I value. However, if having certain viewpoints, having those viewpoints in America means aligning yourself with a group that inherently hate you and doesn't even want you to exist in the first place. I'll go a little bit further with that. Again, being from the Caribbean, right? And being around black people and being around Caribbean people from different countries in the Caribbean. Okay, let me say this before I go any forward, right? I'm from Haiti. I've said this before. And being Haitian, I'm around a lot of different groups of Caribbean people, right? And being from Haiti and coming is another thing I had to learn when I came to America. Being from Haiti means something in America, and it's not something good. It's something negative. The things that people say to you is just rude, ignorant, and stupid, disrespectful, thinking that, they're just trying to relate to you because you're Haitian. All the negative rhetoric about Haiti in America is something that you don't want to hear all the time. I know I don't want to hear it. So because of that, I try to not be around people who have those stupid viewpoints, because who wants to hear negative shit about their country all the time from stupid people who assume just because you're from this place that somehow they're superior to you. Just like, people automatically assume if they're white, then they're, no matter your background, no matter your religion, no matter your income level, no matter your education level as a black person, that they're inherently superior to you, right? It's the same thing. So being from Haiti and having those negative experiences in America, I know what it's like to not want to hear people talk shit about your country, right? But it's not like as Haitians that we don't know that we have problems within our culture. And a lot of Haitians, they will be the first one to start talking shit about Haiti because we're the ones living in Haiti and experiencing the negativity that happens. But the thing is, we also know the beauty of it. We don't just experience negativity, and the people here only know about the negative stuff and they amplify it to the worst degrees, and that's all people know you for, is the negative stuff. But we kind of know the balance of it, right? So what I'm saying all that to say is, being from Haiti, I don't want to hear people talk shit about Haiti, right? So what I'm about to say is about Trinidadian people. Being from Trinidad, it's not something, I know it's not something that people might want to hear, but it is a part of Trinidadian culture. Nicki Minaj is Indo-Trini. Partly Indo-Trini. Indo-Trini means you have Indian background. So the Trinidad does have a large population of Indians. There's always this hierarchy of the Indian people feeling that they're superior to the African black people, right? So if Nicki Minaj is partly Indo-Trini, light-skinned, she feels like she's naturally superior to a dark-skinned African black presenting black person, right? And within Trinidadian culture, there's always this sense of superiority of Indo-Trinis to other groups of black people, right? So I'm not surprised at all that Nicki Minaj would feel like she wants to align herself to white people. And also she's in a tight spot with her life where she's saying that her house is always being the police are always being called over, and so people know where she lives. I'm sure it's a difficult spot to be in, but you chose that spot. One thing that people always talk about is, when Nicki Minaj ever gets into it with somebody, the only thing that they mention is her husband. She chose that husband knowing what he did. So why would I not use that against her every time? Like, you gave me the card to play. Why would I not play it? You know what I'm saying? So for me, Nicki Minaj being Indo-Trini, light skin, going through what she's going, and using Black American culture while demonizing it and vilifying it at the same time. Because I remember when she had that spat with Remy Ma, she was calling her Shanae, and her fans, particularly white fans, the way they were so ready to call her Shanae because it's such it's such a, what do you call it, negative stereotypes against Black Americans, period. Nicki Minaj does not like Black Americans. She does not like Black people, right? So it's not shocking to me that she would take the stand that she's taking, particularly when it's financially beneficial for her and when she's fighting for her life and her livelihood. So then it goes back to my thing, with my point of saying, what do you mean that a woman that support rapists and murderers and hates her own people, hates people that are from different countries? You don't have to be an immigrant to not hate immigrants. You don't have to be Black to support Black people. Just like you don't have to be gay or trans or whatever to support any other group that you're not immediately a part of. It's just common sense, right? So when people say, oh, they could never make me hate you, and just continue to support. And the other thing is, with American culture, directly supporting a celebrity means putting money in their pockets for them to continue their livelihood and their foolishness. So you're saying I refuse to hold you accountable while asking for change within the culture, asking for betterment within society, but you are supporting the people that are doing the terrible things to make society as it is, or make it worse. You know what I'm saying? So I said I was going to talk about Mary Cosby a little bit. She's this woman who is on the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, right? This woman married her grandfather. That's all you needed to know, that there was something wrong here. This woman is married to her grandfather. And according to her and her husband, her grandmother, put it on her will that he should marry one of his grandkids or one of his kids, and he chose her. That's all you needed to know. And I see people on social media leaving comments, they could never make me hate you, about her, because they find her charismatic and off-putting and a little bit shocking and a little controversial, but we still like her at the same time. So they don't want to hold this woman accountable, but that's all you needed to know, right? But when it comes to her, I saw that someone said they believe she's neurodivergent, and I was like, you know what, that makes total sense. When you look at her, and this is not me being stereotypical, just looking at her physically, something for me always seemed like she's disengaged. She's not all the way there, or she lacks that neurological connection that helps her empathize with people, help her understand that, oh, you cannot talk about someone's child dying from a car accident like that so nonchalantly, right? You cannot say certain things to people. And her delivery is always atypical, a little bit standoffish and insulting, yet shocking at the same time, that people don't want to hold her accountable for it, or they just like her. She makes for great TV, as they say. So they could never make me hate you. And now I'm not saying that to hate anybody, but again, the point is that it's not that you don't want to hate the person. It's saying I don't want to hold this person accountable no matter what they do. This is a woman who is allegedly running a cult where her she is a she is a minister. Child, how people ever fall for the cult life, I will never know. Could never be me. Okay, nobody could ever convince me that they are God. Okay, they have a direct line to God. Okay, so I always find it interesting with people who somehow fall for the cults. Okay, but her particularly, she is over there being worshipped by her congregation as if she is God herself, right? This is a woman with doesn't have and can't tell you what she does for money, right? But has rooms full of high-end designer bags, shoes, clothing, etc. Right? Where do you get your money from? And she's being alleged of running a cult where she's insulting her congregation, calling them poor and stingy because she didn't get thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars that she was asking for her birthday. According to there is a documentary, it's called The Cult of the Real Housewife. This lady is a real cult leader. We have a real cult leader on national television being broadcasted. Someone who takes advantage, financial, emotional advantage of her congregation. She's not Maybe she's under investigation. Maybe, I don't know. I hope so. She's not in jail. She's not in prison. And people are saying they could never make me hate you. And then these are the same people who hate the people that abuse other people. Do you care about abuse or not? Do you care about violence against vulnerable people or not? Because the violence doesn't always have to be physical, right? Her church, and okay, let me say this before I forget. I believe that she was grown by that grandfather, okay? Because that person came in her life at 3 years old, when she was 3 years old. I don't care if that's her step-grandfather, that's her grandfather, okay? Raised her, right? And married her when she was 20. And I believe because neurologically she's not, she's neurodivergent. I'm not diagnosing her, but I do believe that she might be. She, more likely than not, she is. So I'm not diagnosing her, right? He was able to take advantage of that. And because she lacks empathy, she lacks caring about other people and how they feel, he was able to exploit that because she only cares about herself, what she wants for her life, you know, the clothes that she wants, the lifestyle that she wants. So that's why she's over there abusing her congregation, having emergency meetings where they're having to give up hundreds of thousands of dollars to her, only to find out that she's living this grand lifestyle of rooms full of designer items while saying, oh, my congregation couldn't take care of me because it's not that many people. But you have people taking loans, $300,000 loans against their homes to give to you in the church, while allegedly you're sleeping with the church members. You're taking emotional advantage of people who are ill, looking for belonging, looking for support. And you know, the church is one of the places that has been around for a very long time. So anytime most people feel unsafe, feel like they need support, feel like they want a change in their life, feel like, you know, they want a community, they turn to the church. A lot of people turn to church for that. And you have a woman who's here taking advantage of that. She is a cult leader. And you are here saying, I refuse to hold you accountable no matter how harmful your behavior is. That is mind-blowing to me. And again, I'm just using Nicki Minaj and Mary Cosby as examples. There are plenty of other people that do horrible things. And we are the same people who are, when we read history of who's done the most terrible things, we're up in arms. But we support the people who are doing the terrible things right now. My God. So yeah, anywho, get down with me in the comments. Tell me what you guys think, right? Because I don't know. I can't be the only person that this bothers. I'm pretty sure that you guys have your own thoughts and opinions about what I said. If you have anything you want to lend to the conversation, if you have any, you know, a different perspective you want to offer, I'm all ears. I'm always here for conversation as long as it's respectful and we keep it respectful among each other, because we want a better society ultimately, right? So even if somebody's opinion differs from ours, doesn't mean that we have to attack them or be disrespectful when we address them, right? So let me know what you guys think. But my gosh, does that piss me off when I see that they can never make me hate. Let me know what you guys think. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.